قرآن واسق حياتي قرآن.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, today we'll learn 10 more lessons from Juz 2. Let's go to the first lesson.
ومن حيث خرجت فول وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وإنه للحق من ربك وما الله بغافل عما تعملون.
From this verse, we learn the importance of Qibla. The verse says that whenever you may come out, turn your face towards Kaaba, towards Qibla. As we know that Kaaba is the symbol of Muslim unity. Sitting, facing towards the Qibla was one of the habits of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. Prophet Ibrahim started his preaching and tabligh from Kaaba. And we know that our Imam, when Imam al-Mahdi comes and reappears, he will start his tabligh from Kaaba itself. Masjid al-Haram and Qibla have importance in Islamic culture. Therefore, it is recommended for a believer to face Qibla for doing the mustahab a'mal.
ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون.
The second lesson we learn from this juz is keeping alive the thoughts of martyrs, the shuhada. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that do not call those who have died and those who have become shaheed in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do not call them as dead. We need to keep alive the thoughts of martyrs and shuhada in our gatherings. We should also read about the biography of the shuhada so that we know which way they were following in their lives so we can implement in our own lives.
ومن الناس من يتخذ من دون الله أندادا يحبونهم كحب الله والذين آمنوا أشد حبا لله.
From this verse, we learn the love towards Allah. How much should be our love towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Those who love Allah, their hearts will be filled with iman, filled with belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The more the belief in Allah, the more the love towards Him. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, من أحبنا كان معنا يوم القيامة ولو أن رجلا أحب حجرا لحشره الله معه. Imam Ali alayhi salam says that whoever loves us will be with us on the day of judgment, and if a person loves the stone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will gather him and Allah will bring him with that stone.
كتب عليكم إذا حضر أحدكم الموت إن ترك خيرا الوصية للوالدين والأقربين بالمعروف حقا على المتقين.
The fourth lesson we learn from this juz is the importance of writing a will. In Islam, there is a lot of importance to write a will. In riwayat and ahadith, we find there is lots of importance that a Muslim, a mu'min, should write his will before he dies. We do not know when we are going to die, so we should write the will beforehand. Those who die without writing a will, we see their families get into different difficult situations, and there comes which leads to family disputes, so a believer should write the will before he dies. We should also remember that a person, a mu'min, can make will of 1/3 of his wealth, which can be used after his death according to his will. We should also try to read the wills of imams, shuhada, and great scholars to bring changes into our lives.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون.
The fifth lesson we learned from this juz is the importance of fasting in the month of Ramadan. Fasting during Ramadan will help us reach the stage of taqwa. Fasting is not only to avoid and stay away from taking food or eating or drinking, but it is the best stage is to avoid sinning. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us tongue. A person should refrain from lying and backbiting in the state of fasting. Therefore, all the body parts of a mu'min should be in the state of fasting. Like we have tongue, it should refrain from sinning. We have hands, it should be working in the correct way. We have legs, we should walk in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam says, الصائم في عبادة الله وإن كان نائما على فراشه. A fasting person, even in the state of sleep, is in the act of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's take this month of Ramadan a great opportunity where we can get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
ولا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل وتدلوا بها إلى الحكام لتأكلوا فريقا من أموال الناس بالإثم وأنتم تعلمون.
The sixth lesson we learn from this juz is to abstain from bribery. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam says, Ar-Rashi wal-Murtashi fin-nar. Prophet Muhammad here says that a person who gives the bribe and receives the bribe will surely go to hell. And we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes away His blessings from the person's life who gives or receives the bribe in Islamic society.
ولا تنكحوا المشركات حتى يؤمن ولأمة مؤمنة خير من مشركة ولو أعجبتكم ولا تنكحوا المشركين حتى يؤمنوا.
The seventh lesson from this juz is faith, iman is the main criteria for marriage. So we know that the main criteria for selecting spouse should be the person's level of iman and not beauty or worldly property. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, إذا تزوج الرجل المرأة لمالها أو جمالها لم يرزق ذلك فإن تزوجها لدينها رزقه الله عز وجل جمالها ومالها. The gist of the hadith is that if a man marries a woman for her wealth or beauty, he will not be blessed with that. But if he marries the girl for her religion and because of her iman, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless him with the beauty and wealth. Some of the other lessons we get from this ayah is that don't marry the mushrikat, the disbelievers, until they bring iman and they convert. The other thing we learn is that we should not look at the beauty of the mushrik and change our views and marry them. Because if that happens in the society, that a mu'min marries the mushrik and the disbeliever, then we have to take care that this worldly love towards mushrikat should not spoil our generations.
والوالدات يرضعن أولادهن حولين كاملين لمن أراد أن يتم الرضاعة.
The eighth lesson we get from this juz is the importance of mother's milk in Quran, as it is mentioned in this verse. An infant has the right of mother's milk for complete 2 years. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, ما من لبن يرضع به الصبي أعظم بركة عليه من لبن أمه. Which means that for a child there is no barakah and blessing more than mother's milk. The mothers should take care of some of the things before feeding their children. Number one, they should try to be in the state of wudu, and whenever they are feeding their child, they should start with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim to get and to show those positive effects in the child.
حافظوا على الصلوات والصلاة الوسطى وقوموا لله قانتين.
The ninth lesson we get from this juz is protecting prayers, particularly midday prayers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is stressing in this verse to protect your prayers instead of performing prayers. Allah is not saying that perform, rather Allah is saying حافظوا على الصلوات, that protect your prayers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stressed upon Zuhr prayers in this verse. It is possible this is because midday is the busiest part of the day or the hottest part of the day. If we are working at the workplace, we should try to take our time for the Dhuhr prayers and perform it on the awwalul waqt, on the correct time.
قال الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو الله كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة بإذن الله والله مع الصابرين.
The last lesson we get from this juz is not to be afraid of the majority of the enemies. Allah stresses in this verse that we should stay strong and stay firm in the right path, even if the enemies are in majority and we are in minority. History shows us that Muslims, when they were engaged and busy in the wars, Prophet used to tell them that do not be afraid, because if you people are in minority, don't get afraid of the enemies. For example, we see in the Battle of Badr, Muslims were around 313 in number, whereas the opponents and the enemies and the mushrikeen were about 1,000. These were the 10 lessons from Juz 2. Inshallah, we'll come again with the new 10 lessons from Juz 3. Till then, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
رحمن يا رحمن ساعدني يا رحمن اشرح صدري قرآن املأ قلبي قرآن واسق حياتي قرآن رحمن يا رحمن ساعدني